Good morning, America. A small plane caught on camera, slamming into homes in a Southern California neighborhood.
You have a plane that went into the structure.
Flames erupting in the backyard. The pilot and passenger killed. The urgent investigation this morning into what went wrong.
Driving up prices. President Trump's 25% tariffs on most imported car parts now in effect, on top of tariffs already imposed. The impact it's expected to have, with analysts predicting car prices rising by thousands of dollars.
Countdown to the conclave. The last cardinals making their way to Rome ahead of selecting a new pope. What they are saying about the task to choose the next leader of the Catholic Church.
Sex trafficking trial. Jury selection set to begin Monday for Sean Diddy Combs, our legal expert on what to expect after the music mogul rejects a plea deal.
Dressing to impress. The preps ahead of Monday's Met Gala. What to know about this year's theme. Diving into black dandyism and its impact on fashion. Model Anok Yai joins us as the A-list celebs get ready for fashion's biggest night.
And lights out and away we go for today's Miami Grand Prix. Our live report with the racers all revved up.
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
Good morning, America. Happy Sunday, and may the 4th be with you. It is so great to have Will Reeve here to coordinate some lightsaber action. Appreciate that.
I didn't know we were actually
Nicely
going to
done,
do that.
gentlemen.
We've committed to the bit.
Very well.
Nailed it.
It's
Nailed
great
it.
to be with you both. We do have a lot to get into today, including federal loan repayments are set to resume today after that 5-year hiatus. And we've also got the Real ID deadline bearing down on all of us. That's going to be big for travelers coming up in just days.
Yep, but we do begin here with that deadly plane crash. This is outside Los Angeles. At least 2 people killed when a small plane plunged into a neighborhood in Simi Valley. ABC's Melissa Don joins us with the latest. Melissa, good morning to you.
Good morning, Whit. It was a scary situation for a Southern California father who tells us he and his wife were outside their home when suddenly he noticed a plane falling from the sky. He says his instincts quickly kicked in.
This morning, the FAA and NTSB investigating after a small plane crashed into a Southern California neighborhood, damaging 2 homes.
You have a plane that went into the structure.
Officials say the pilot of the plane, a passenger, and a dog aboard the small-engine aircraft did not survive. More than a dozen Ventura County firefighters rushing to Simi Valley Saturday afternoon. A neighbor sharing this Ring camera video that captured the sudden crash. Armin Hovekyamian says he was doing yard work as he heard the plane circling and suddenly coming down louder. Hovekyamian's backyard catching fire, and that's when he says he sprang into action.
I grabbed the hose because I saw the fire on the plane, then I saw the fire on the house, kept the hose on the plane, and then it just exploded.
Firefighters were able to extinguish the flames and safely evacuate the residents inside the homes. No one on the ground was injured.
Incredibly enough, that nobody on the ground was injured. Now the FAA says the pilot was operating a Vans home-built kit airplane and was traveling locally, heading to Camarillo from Lancaster. The NTSB is now leading the investigation into what caused the crash. Janae?
Incredible. No one on the ground was injured. Melissa, thank you. Now to the trade war. Surcharges on car parts now in effect as U.S. automakers warn of major price increases ahead for consumers. ABC's Selena Wang joins us live from the White House with the latest on these new 25% tariffs. Good morning, Selena.
Hey, good morning, Janae. These tariffs just keep piling on, with President Trump's 25% tariffs on most imported auto parts kicking into effect this weekend. And it's expected to have a big impact because even cars made here in the USA, they rely on parts from around the world. And this comes after Trump already imposed 25% tariffs on foreign-made cars. Analysts estimate this will increase the price of cars by thousands of dollars, with General Motors CEO warning that the tariffs will cost them them $4 to $5 billion this year. Now, President Trump insists that these tariffs will bring manufacturing back to the U.S., but moving supply chains can take years and cost billions of dollars. But on the U.S.-China trade war front, we are getting the first signs that China may be open to talking with the U.S. Beijing says it's evaluating possible negotiations after the U.S. reached out multiple times. But guys, it could still be a long road ahead, with China insisting that Trump first remove the staggering 145% tariffs on Chinese goods. But instead, the Trump administration has just closed a trade loophole that had allowed goods valued at $800 or less to enter this country tariff-free. That change is a major hit to Chinese e-commerce retailers like Shein and Temu. Both companies had warned shoppers that they're hiking prices, but Temu now says it's no longer directly shipping from China to shoppers here in the U.S. Instead, it says those orders will be coming from warehouses here in America. For now, Temu says that prices remain unchanged.
Okay, Selena Wang for us. Thank you so much. Let's bring in our ABC News Political Director, Averi Harper, to discuss more. Averi, good morning to you. It's always great to have you. So as we noted, there are more of these tariffs going into effect now. So what is the Trump administration telling people who may be concerned about these rising prices and where the trade war goes from here?
Right. So President Trump himself has labeled this a transition period. He and his administration have said that the American people will endure short-term pain for a long-term benefit, but that is far from a sure thing. And one thing is for sure, these tariffs are driving some economic anxiety. When we look at the latest ABC News Washington Post Ipsos poll, we found that 71% of Americans believe that tariffs are going to start to drive up inflation.
And that's something to watch closely. But I do also want to ask you about the president's budget proposal calling for $163 billion in cuts from federal spending, everything from education to health programs. What kind of impact could these cuts have?
Well, it's important to note that the president's budget proposal is unlikely to pass as is. This is more of a wish list, a demonstration of where his administration's priorities are. But what has been outlined would have widespread impacts. It would have deep cuts for lots of different programs and agencies across the board, including programs like SNAP, which helps low-income families buy groceries, HEAP, which helps low-income families pay for home energy bills. And the budget, however, does have some proposed funding increases for things like border security, for things like military spending. The Democrats are going to be pushing back on this, but there are also Republicans who are going to stand in the way of this as well. So I think we can anticipate some changes there.
As you noted, a wish list, but we'll see where it all ends up down the road. Thank you so much, Averi. Always great to see you. And of course, this week, tune in later this morning. George Stephanopoulos breaks down President Trump's transformative first 100 days back in office and looks ahead to what's next in his presidency. Will.
All right, we're overseas now to the Vatican, where the conclave to choose a new leader of the Roman Catholic Church begins in just a few days, and ABC's Ines de la Catara is there. Ines, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. And we are now in the final stretch before that secretive conclave begins. Today marks the final day of mourning for Pope Francis. Two voting cardinals telling me this has been a time of deep reflection and prayer.
This morning, the last cardinals making their way to Rome, with the Vatican saying 131 of the 133 cardinal electors are believed to have arrived.
You need a Superman. Yes, yes.
The clerics being treated like rock stars, mobbed by reporters tracking their every move and making headlines around the world. We sat down with Haitian Cardinal Chibli Langlois, who will be voting in the upcoming conclave appointed by Pope Francis in 2014. He tells us the cardinals are spending time getting to know each other and listening to the challenges each is facing, but that he hasn't seen any of the rumored alliances forming. He wouldn't tell us who he's voting for, arguing he thinks cardinals should stand united behind whoever the next pontiff is, but believes Pope Francis's vision of a more inclusive church must continue. Canadian Cardinal Cherney will also be voting. He's urging the faithful not to worry about who the next pope will be.
My message to them is please, please don't worry. We're doing our best to be in the hands of the Holy Spirit. And rather than worry, it would be good to pray.
In just a few days, both Langlois and Cherney will be voting here inside the Sistine Chapel, where final preparations are underway. That famous chimney installed on its roof. Black smoke will mean the cardinals have yet to reach a consensus. White smoke will mean the world's 1.4 billion Catholics have a new leader.
And guys, there are now thousands across Italy playing a fantasy football type of game to try and predict the next pope. At the top of the list right now are the Italian cardinals, so people like Cardinal Parole and Cardinal Zuppi, who are both close to Francis. I asked Cardinal Langlois if he could be the next pontiff, but he says that is in the hands of the Holy Spirit. Janae?
Fantasy football type of game, but we're glad that you asked whether it could be Jimenez. Thank you. Back here at home now in Ohio, where authorities say a man purposely struck and killed a sheriff's deputy the day after his teenage son was fatally shot by police. Rodney Hitton Jr. has been charged with aggravated murder in the death of the sheriff's deputy who was struck Friday while directing traffic near the University of Cincinnati. Prosecutors calling his moves calculated and premeditated. At his first court appearance yesterday, Hinton walked through a room packed with law enforcement officers. Hinton Jr. is currently being held on no bail. His bond hearing is scheduled for Tuesday.
The family of the man who fell from the bleachers during a Pirates baseball game says he is making progress. Kevin Markwood was critically injured, and you see the 20-foot fall right there. That was Wednesday night. First responders rushing to his aid. Markwood is said to be alert and now able to breathe on his own. The family thanking everyone who has shown their support.
And we turn now to the air travel misery at one of the busiest airports in the country, where, according to FlightAware, about 40% of flights there were delayed on Saturday. Dozens more canceled, all blamed on a construction issue and a shortage of air traffic controllers. ABC's Morgan Norwood is back at Newark International Airport this morning with the update for today. Morgan, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning to you, Will. Yes, today marks a full week of frustration here at Newark Liberty Airport already. Again, starting to see another day of delays and cancellations, at least 130 according to FlightAware. And according to the FAA, those flights are now running at least 2 hours behind. The situation is twofold here, right? You've got the ongoing construction that at times has forced traffic onto a single runway, and then that massive staffing shortage after more than 20% of air traffic controllers walked off the job last week. That's forced your airlines like United to slash 35 flights per day indefinitely, and then passengers caught up in the middle of this, some missing international connections, others having to buy last-minute tickets on different airlines just to stay on their vacation schedule. United says it is working with those affected customers. They're going to allow them to reschedule without penalty as long as they rebook before May 12th. Officials here at Newark, though, urge passengers to check their flight status before leaving for the airport. Meanwhile, we know the FAA is working to stabilize everything in terms of those staffing shortages, but certainly they are under the clock as the pressure is mounting and the summer travel season quickly approaches, Will.
Yeah, not to make it about me, but I have a United flight out of Newark in a couple hours, and I might be in for a little bit of pain. But for everybody, something that applies to everyone, the Real ID deadline, Morgan, is just days away. What do we all need to know as this deadline approaches and is here?
Yeah, just days away. Thankfully, you're going to fly out, Will, before this deadline hits. But May 7th, this Wednesday, if you do not have a real ID, meaning if your ID does not have that star at the right-hand corner of it, you will not be allowed to board your domestic flight. You'll be fine if you board with a passport or a passport card. But if you don't have that real ID, it's a good time to go ahead and make that appointment at the DMV. But keep in mind, you may expect some delays there because everybody else who doesn't have their real ID is probably going to be trying to do the same. Will?
All right. Good to pay attention to all that. There's a lot going on.
Thank you so much, Morgan. Tomorrow, federally backed student loan payments resume after a 5-year hiatus. Payment collections were suspended by President Trump during the pandemic back in March of 2020, and that suspension was extended by the Biden administration in 2023. Phil Lipoff is here to break it all down. Good morning to you, Phil. A lot of people are paying attention to this.
This is a big deal because according to the Department of Education, 5 million account holders have payments that are due right away. We're talking about tomorrow, and this has been an awfully long time where they've had a pause. If you miss a payment, your account is considered delinquent immediately. After 90 days, your loan goes into default, at which point a process called acceleration could happen. This is not good. That means the whole balance becomes due, and the Department of Education may actually garnish your wages, tax refunds, Social Security payments.
And this is huge. You just said 5 million people with outstanding student loan payments. As we're seeing what's happening in the economy and how much more people are paying for things, how could this impact your credit score?
Well, that's what everybody's worried about, and it could affect it in a big way. This isn't like missing a credit card payment. It's more, think about it like missing a mortgage payment or a car payment. And what happens then is they report to the credit bureaus. And once they report to the credit bureaus, your credit score drops, and it could drop a lot, which then means it affects being able to rent an apartment or get a good rate on a mortgage.
And Phil, if you're a borrower and you're concerned, what should you do about this change?
If you have student loans, and this is you, then this is what you need to do. You make sure you go into your account and check your balance, just so you see where you're at, because a lot of people haven't paid attention to this since 2020. The Department of Treasury will send you out an email over the next few weeks. They have what's called a default resolution group that will set up payment plans. If you give them a call, it'll help people enroll in income-driven payment plans, or even do what's called loan rehabilitation, which is a series of payments to get a loan out of default.
Wow. Well, all right, Phil, thank you for educating us on that. That's a big day coming up tomorrow for millions of people around the country. We're going to turn now. The Trump administration is slashing federal protections for America's coal miners, and ABC's Jay O'Brien has been speaking with miners in coal country. He joins us here now. Good morning, Jay.
Will, good morning. We traveled to coal country, one of those regions President Trump has promised with a coal comeback to tell this story. And in just the last week, we've seen a series of twists and turns. More federal employees fired, others temporarily rehired, all of it calling into question what is next for the future of this black lung program for coal miners.
This morning, concern and confusion over the future of a crucial federal program protecting coal miners from black lung disease, following sweeping DOGE cuts at the Department of Health and Human Services. Late Friday night, another round of terminations at the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, or NIOSH, laying off most remaining employees, including nearly all tied to their black lung program. Prominent Republicans like West Virginia Senator Shelley Moore Capito pushing HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to reverse the decision.
I think when the function of what's really done at NIOSH was lost.
He didn't realize what they did.
I don't think not in full. And so I realized that we just can't waste time.
The Institute's director writing in this internal email, "We are all still uncertain about what the future holds." Some NIOSH employees first placed on administrative leave have now been asked to temporarily return to work, but we're still told they'll be officially fired next month, including these we met on the front lines of Appalachia's worst black lung epidemic in 25 years, providing free x-rays to miners and helping those sick get transferred to safer jobs.
When we are gone, when our work is gone, our research is gone, nobody steps up to take our place.
And many of these 8 retired miners, all who say they have black lung, and most of whom voted for President Trump, now hoping the administration will change course.
They take away the people that were watching over us, taking care of them. They taking their job. We got nobody.
You have faith that he'll bring back those coal safety programs?
I do. I really do.
Will you think differently of the president if he doesn't bring those protections back?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
HHS continues to say that that black lung program will continue under its new Administration for a Healthy America. But even the Republican lawmakers I talked to say they have not been made clear exactly how that will continue under Secretary Kennedy's leadership. Guys.
Really important story there, Jay. Thank you for bringing that to us to show us the impacts, and we'll be watching that.
We're now to the Miami Grand Prix. It's today, just hours from the start, and we are joined by ESPN's Nicole Briscoe at one of the marquee stops on the race calendar. Nicole, it is great to see you. Please set the stage for us on this big day.
It's great to see you too as well, Will. You know, look, this is our 4th season in Miami, and honestly, we have come to expect the unexpected. Weather chaos? Yes. Is it going to rain today? Probably. Tire strategy is going to be a fun thing to watch, and we never know what to expect, which is a little bit like the week that Max Verstappen is having. Earlier this week, he became a first-time father to little girl Lily. Then he arrived in Miami a full day late, missed out on a couple of meetings, and then a little bit of chaos in Saturday's sprint race. There was contact in pit lane between the Red Bull and then the Mercedes of Kimi Antonelli. There was a 10-second penalty that followed, and Verstappen was dropped from 4th all the way to 17th and out of the points. But redemption for him came in qualifying, his 3rd pole of this season, so he will start P1 for the race today. Still a lot of work to be done, but at least he's off to a good start. Unlike the weekend the Ferraris are having, particularly the 7-time world champion in Lewis Hamilton. He's talked a lot this season about the switch from Mercedes to Ferrari, how it hasn't been going as smoothly as he had hoped. That has certainly been his weekend so far. Kicked out of qualifying in Q2 for the first time this season, and he will start this race in 12th.
Oh, tough place to start there, but if anyone can jump into the lead. It's Lewis Hamilton. We thank you, Nicole, for joining us from Miami, and we invite you all to tune in to ABC or ESPN Plus at 4 Eastern for coverage of the Miami Grand Prix. And coming up on GMA here, jury selection for Sean Diddy Combs' trial on sex trafficking charges starts tomorrow, and our legal expert looks at the case.
And your behind-the-scenes guide to tomorrow's Met Gala, model Anok Yai joins us here live.
Also, we've been saying it all morning, may the 4th be with you. You know what that means, of course. It is Star Wars Day. We're going to play around the Star Wars trivia ahead. We'll be right back.
Let's take a look at some of the other big stories that we're following on this Sunday morning. Happening right now, Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion International Airport is operating again after a missile launched by Iranian-backed rebels in Yemen briefly halted flights. The attack came hours before top Israeli cabinet ministers were set to vote on whether to intensify the country's military operations in the Gaza Strip. Israel vows to respond to the airport attack.
Also right now, the South Texas home of Elon Musk's rocket company SpaceX will now officially be known as Starbase. This comes after a small community vote to formalize the move. Musk celebrated in a post on his social media platform X, saying it is now a real city.
Yeah, and we all love a Game 7 in the NBA. The Denver Nuggets just dominated the LA Clippers 120-101, and it wasn't even that close. They will now take on top-seeded Oklahoma City. And in the NHL, the Dallas Stars are moving on after a thrilling comeback win over the Colorado Avalanche. The Stars scored 4 goals in the third period. They move on to face the winner of tonight's St. Louis Blues and Winnipeg Jets Game 7. It is playoff time.
There you go. How's your team doing this year?
They are not in the playoffs, but the Knicks are. So
there you go. That's right. You can't have it all.
Yeah.
All right. We do start this half hour with the sex trafficking trial of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. Jury selection is expected to get underway in federal court here in Manhattan tomorrow. Combs has pleaded not guilty, but if convicted, he could face what would amount to the rest of his life in prison. Let's bring in ABC News legal contributor Shauna Lloyd. Shauna, good morning to you. It's always great to have you.
Good morning.
So many different layers to this case here. So first, can you just break down the charges for us and what prosecutors need to prove?
Absolutely. So let's look at the charges. The first, which is the largest, which is RICO. RICO is basically that he has formed a criminal enterprise with his employees in order to commit certain illegal acts. That carries a lifetime sentence, so that's significant. The second charge is going to be the trafficking. Trafficking is essentially that he was moving people by force or coercion in order to engage in criminal prostitution. So that's going to carry potentially another life sentence and a mandatory minimum of 15 years. The other is transportation for prostitution. That is essentially moving someone in order to engage in prostitution, and that carries a maximum of 10 years.
So you laid out all the charges here. What is the defense likely to argue in response?
So the defense is really going to be looking at the fact that these people who work for him, one, were not engaged in any form of illegal activity. They were unaware, or they were not participating in anything that was illegal, because that breaks the conspiracy. Also, they're going to say and allege that these victims were in a consensual sexual relationship and that these were not acts that they were not in agreement with. So that's what we're going to see the defense pose to counteract the state's arguments.
So, Shauna, you mentioned that he could be facing potential life in prison, potentially more than one sentence of life in prison. Last week, Diddy rejected a plea deal. We don't know the details, but it would have involved less time behind bars than if he is convicted. What do you make of that? Do you think that shows he obviously wants to go to trial?
Absolutely, because let's remember, a plea deal, that's part of the incentive why they offer it, is that you're going to get a reduced amount of time. So that's not surprising. However, typically when we see people reject a plea deal, it's because either they are not okay with the terms or they believe in their innocence and they want to take it to trial to be heard before a jury.
And we're aware of the allegations in Cassie Ventura's complaint against Diddy. There is that video that was first obtained by CNN. It shows Diddy kicking and dragging Ventura. That was his girlfriend at the time. Judge ruled it can be shown in court, and we should note that Combs' defense team argues the video was manipulated. CNN denies that claim. In any case, why is her testimony going to be so important?
So we have to remember, the interesting thing about this video is that he's not actually on trial for what happened in the video, right? Assault and battery, those are state charges. What this video is going to be used is that this trafficking by force or coercion. So this speaks to what the state is saying, his nature and his violent nature, and that's how he got people to agree to do these things and to engage in these sort of sexual activities. And so that's what the video is going to be used for and presented. Her testimony is important because, as we know, she came out and she made these allegations. The video then came out to corroborate it. So when we look at credibility, there's going to be a certain amount of credibility that's given to her statement because it's now been corroborated by some outside external force, the video.
So jury selection gets underway tomorrow. How challenging could that be?
I mean, jury selection in a case of this magnitude is always challenging because we have to remember that everyone has heard about it and they have strong feelings. We're talking about issues such as, sexual lifestyle. We're talking about domestic violence. These are issues that typically people have strong feelings about. And so when you try to seat a jury, you have to make sure that either they are willing to listen to what's going to happen and change their opinion, and that they're not going to bring their outside influences in. So it's going to be quite a task to seat this jury.
Yeah, it really is. Shauna Lloyd, thank you so much for breaking it all down for us. We appreciate you being here.
As celebrities prepare to look their best at Monday's Met Gala, the night's chairs include Coleman Domingo, Lewis Hamilton, A$AP Rocky, and Pharrell Williams, who certainly have shown their sense of style at Met Galas over the years. So it's no surprise that they're involved in this year's event with the theme Super Fine, Tailoring Black Style. It explores Black dandyism, which Vogue calls a cultural statement and a celebration of individuality. And joining us now for more on the big night is supermodel Anok Yai, who's been to 4 Met Galas. Welcome. So glad that you're here. We mentioned before that you were discovered with this viral photo at a Howard homecoming. You said your life has taken a 180 from a college student
to the Met Gala.
Yes.
It's intense.
And you said it still feels surreal. Look at that outfit. That was beautiful.
Yeah, that was the Swarovski one.
This will be your 5th Met Gala. Does it ever get old seeing the parade of celebrities as they show up on the red carpet?
It never gets old, and the crazy thing is the nerves never go away.
Yeah?
Like, I literally had a nightmare last night that the stairs were never ending.
That's
I was just
hilarious.
But it's so exciting, but like, you're always terrified up until you're up the steps. Then you're just like, oh, okay, I made
That's
it.
your anxiety as you're preparing for it. So we mentioned the theme is super fine, tailoring black style, which encompasses dandyism. What is dandyism to you?
Well, when I think about dandyism, I think about Harlem Renaissance. I think about like really super finely tailored clothes, attention to detail.
Yeah.
So I think the thing for me for this Met is I'm going to pay very close attention to every single detail, which means I'm having to do a lot of fittings.
A lot of fittings. You said you're going to do one after this and tomorrow morning beforehand.
Might do another one in between, but who knows?
How do you envision the theme for women? This is what I'm excited to see, how the ladies can pull this all together. Is there anything specific you'll be looking for?
So my initial reaction was, of course, like come in a suit. But for this one, I'm going to take a men's tuxedo, but rework it in a modern way.
Yeah?
But you're going to see.
Okay. A good long tease there. What is prepping for the event like? You told me that you'll be starting at 7 a.m. tomorrow,
7 a.m.
collaborating with designers and coming up with the mood and the look. How is that preparation and then the day of?
So the preparation leading up is a lot of meetings with my hair, makeup, glam team, and the designers, because we're basically like making the look come together and figuring out exactly what the hair and the makeup and the look is going to be.
all complement.
Yeah. And then like right now we still don't know what I'm going to do for makeup and hair. I'm still deciding whether to go up or wide or down. Who knows? But the day of is, you have a lot of time, but it's because I'm basically getting ready for like 7 hours.
Yeah.
But there's so much going on between trying to make sure that the look is perfect that it kind of feels like time like freezes. But yeah, it's a lot of prep.
It's hard for me to wrap my mind around the fact that you'll be starting so early and going into the evening. When you said that you're going to do like a tux, and that's what you were thinking, to wear a tux, but a different kind of take on it, did you come up with the idea and then go to a designer? Did they come to you? How was that?
So basically, once I figure out what the theme is, I make a mood board with me and my stylist, and then I figure out who I'm going to go with, and then the designer makes the look. They design usually like 5 looks, and I pick from one, and then we mix my mood board and theirs, and make it the outfit. Yeah.
So Anna Wintour has been known to give some advice on what guests wear. Has she given any advice on your fit this year or any other year?
I didn't hit her up this time. So
I'm sorry, say that again?
I didn't hit her up this time.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
So I'm gonna
You felt
surprise
strong
her.
enough for your 5th one to do it
Yeah,
yourself?
you know.
Okay.
I think I got it.
Yeah. But she's given advice in the past?
Yeah, she helped me with this look. She's the one who told me to go with Prabal, and yeah, she's really good at kind of guiding me in the direction that she thinks will be best for me.
Yeah.
And usually I'll spit fire ideas with her, and then she'll, like, nudge me towards
That kind of collaboration is amazing. Is there something that you would love to see as a theme?
I really want to see like a cyberpunk theme.
Oh.
Like because I'm obsessed with sci-fi movies.
Yeah.
So like if they could do like a futuristic cyberpunk theme, that'd be.
That's the thing
really
about
cool.
fashion.
So Anna.
The possibilities are endless. Thank you so much for being
Thank you
here.
so
It was
much
a
for
joy
having me.
having you.
Thank you.
And you can watch ABC News Live streaming coverage of the stars at the Met Gala red carpet on Monday, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern. Still coming up here on Good Morning America, it is Star Wars Day, so may the 4th be with you. See how you do with our special Star Wars quiz coming up after the break.
May the Force be with you.
All right, an explosive, high-octane finish to our show here today on GMA as we celebrate Star Wars Day with fellow fans. It is always great to geek out with other franchise aficionados.
Yes.
That doesn't feel accurate. I'm not really a Star Wars guy, but you know who is? Will Gantz, and he's here to test our knowledge of the Star Wars universe. Will, bring it on. I appreciate Star Wars, I just don't know anything.
Okay, that, for the record, that was Whit Johnson's buzzer. That is not the sound effect that happens when I show up on screen.
Do it again.
He said, Will Gantz is here, and then you hear boing, 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 boing. That should happen every time I show up. All right, we have some trivia questions for all of you. Whit, I'm going to ask you to please give the other contestants a 2-second delay. Yes.
Okay,
I did try to write these, though, for, fans that are just casual fans.
Got it,
all right,
okay.
so we begin this way. Grogu is better known to casual fans by what nickname?
Yoda.
Baby Yoda.
There we go.
I think Janae got it first.
She just said Yoda. That Yoda and Baby Yoda are not
Yes.
the same.
Oh,
All right,
okay.
1 point for my
Not the
namesake over there, my name twin. All right, question number 2. What role did Kurt Russell audition for in Star Wars? Janae?
Han Solo.
That is correct, but there is another answer.
That's a good one.
We have if anyone wants a bonus point, Han Solo is one of them.
Luke Skywalker?
There you go. All right. Points
He just-
across
he
the
just
board
went
over
for
here.
everything.
Question number 3. What species is Chewbacca?
Oh.
Will?
I thought the noise counted. Oh.
Go ahead.
What?
No.
Is that the noise?
No.
And
It's a Wookiee.
It's a Wookiee.
It's a Wookiee, and not only do you not get a point, we're taking a point away from that sound.
Wait, what? Did you say bonus for making the
What's the
sound?
noise? What's the noise?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you kidding me?
Very good. Very good.
The same thing.
No, Samara, it's not.
All right,
Like the
moving
difference
on.
between snow and sunshine.
Yeah, yeah.
What color is the lightsaber belonging to Mace Windu, played by
That's a
Samuel
hard-
L. Jackson?
Blue.
Not blue.
Red.
Okay, no.
Green.
Purple.
Purple is correct.
Thank you.
All right. Who built C-3PO?
Oh, Luke
Lucasfilm.
Skywalker.
No.
Good. Wrong.
George Lucas.
Phone a friend over there. Someone said it.
What?
Anakin Skywalker.
Oh, that's
That's
right.
right.
That's right.
All right, you guys.
Okay.
Well done. May the 4th be with you.
Yeah.
That's it?
All right.
The one thing I had the answer
killed
to.
Jabba?
Who killed
We're running
Jabba?
out of time.
Princess Leia.
There you go. Whit,
Okay.
you're our winner. May the 4th be with you.
Thank you so much for starting your day with
microphone a
us.
sword? What is Look out.
May the 4th be with you. Funny.
Hey, we'll see you on ABC News Live.
Bye.